Not only was I fighting in court for this entire year, but I was still working to get Sadia counseling. So I had already went through the Child Advocacy Center. They violated Sadia's rights, and I contacted the Victims Resource Center, and that's who actually helped me. They said they were confused by the actions of CYS and the actions of Child Advocacy Center, and they actually put me in contact with Children's Service Center, who had a counselor that specialized in counseling autistic children. Sonny was upset about the judge's order a few weeks after he made his ruling. His ruling was on July 29th. So 3 weeks later, it is August 23rd, I find out that she signed Sadia up for another daycare without informing me anything. And she gave me like an itinerary of where to drop her off, and all of this information that I was completely unaware of. I'm just like how are you making all these decisions and have her in all of these different facilities without me ever knowing anything about it? And I messaged her regarding that, and she responds 6:48 p.m. saying you might want to work on your control issues, whether you like it or not. It is my right as her mother to make decisions that are in the best interest of my child. You are not the only one allowed to make decisions on our daughter's behalf. You were notified in advance via email regarding all information. You were aware that Sadia attends school in Pittston. Therefore, she will need a daycare in Pittston so that she can be safely transported to and from school while I work. I don't see the issue you are trying to create. I have not done anything against our custody agreement. I said, I have the right to know who my daughter will be alone with. This is the second daycare this year that you signed her up for without telling me. We were not supposed to be putting her into another daycare. She was supposed to continue the daycare she's been at since she was 2 years old. You cannot do this. She needs stability. She is just fine at the daycare she is at now. There's no reason to switch up everything just because it works better for you, especially without notifying me of these major changes. Then she says, you have the nerve to talk about stability when you are the one who has been moving from bridges to tunnels to caves with my daughter. I'm trying to create stability for my daughter, something she has not had in a long time, and you are actually trying to ruin it. It is unrealistic for Sadia to remain at the same daycare she was in since 2 years old. I considered you when I bought my home 15 minutes away when I could have legally moved an hour. You were aware since last year, October, that Sadia was attending school in Pittston. The only reason transportation wasn't an issue was because of COVID-19 pandemic. What do you think was going to happen when they opened school back up full time? You knew transportation only transferred within the district, so I don't know why you are pretending to be oblivious to this information. Since you want stability, this is it. Sadia's permanent home is in Pittston. Her school is in Pittston. Her daycare is in Pittston. Make it work if you really love your daughter, and stop starting conflict around every single thing. 15 minutes is not too much. And if not, well, take me to court. It's become a part of my life anyway. I'm actually starting to like it. I respond, I said, you literally sound crazy. I have a babysitter that lives on Zerby, same street as the daycare, that picks Dee Dee up from school while I'm at work 1 or 2 days per week. You cannot make these decisions and expect to just make it work. That's not how co-parenting works. I do love my daughter, and I will quit my job if I have to. You're in the wrong, and the only reason my housing became unstable was because you abandoned me with her. I was unable to work. I had just spent all my savings on a retreat to celebrate all the time I went without drinking and smoking, and it was putting stress and strain on my living situation. If you would have been sharing half of the SSI with me, I would have been in a much better position, a much better situation. What you have been doing for the last year is wrong, and any judge will be able to see that. I don't know what your problem is, but I try to work with you. You want to do things the hard way, so the hard way, you want to do things the hard way, so that is your choice. You like it? Question mark. The judge literally sided with me on keeping her away from your babysitter because of sexual abuse. Your idea of the best interest of the child was denied by a judge. My entire case was based in truth. I have no hard feelings towards you or your family, but I refuse to put my daughter in harm's way. It is my job to protect and defend her same as it is yours, even though that is your sister. We came to a conclusion. You decided to fight because you did not want to take responsibility for an honest mistake. That was your choice. You did not have to try to make it seem like I was crazy and making things up. This is cause and effect, karma. I have no malicious intentions on bringing any type of negativity to anyone. Brought and will bring anything a judge decides upon yourself. If you feel a judge has made a mistake, you have the right to appeal that decision, same as I have done in the past. The righteous will prevail. Like I said, it's not too late to start making better choices. You too will prevail. Then she says, the judges you speak of, God calls them the unjust because they never bring justice to the actual people who deserve justice. But remember, the truth is still the truth when no one believes it, and the lie is still the lie, even when everyone believes it. Deep down, you and I know the truth, and although you will never admit to anything you did, God knows my heart and my intentions have always been pure. So when it comes to the real judge, God, let's see how you prevail. So I respond, wow, really? Now that the system isn't working in your favor, it's a scam? You came up with a good amount of quotes from other people to justify the results, but you should really start to think about the things you are doing and saying. There are consequences for your actions. You tried to put me in jail for violating a custody order, and our text message clearly shows that I was making reasonable attempts to honor custody. For years, you lied about SSI. I can go down a whole list of things that you've done that can be proven in text messages. Why can't you take accountability for your wrongdoings? Yeah, it's on. Why can't you take accountability for your wrongdoings? I'm bringing this stuff to a judge and you explain yourself to the courts. So that was August 23rd. Now, I filed this 3 days after that conversation, and I just filed a contempt of court because at this point, I'm just like, I'm sick and tired of trying to reason with her, trying to make it work, and she doesn't care about a judge's orders. She's constantly creating stories that they're just non-existent. A lot of the stuff that she says, it doesn't exist, and you could look in the text messages. We've been texting each other since 2018, 2019. So I filed this contempt of court, and so I said Asanya filed a bad faith contempt December of 2020. Issues leading up to the misleading contempt filed by mom were concerning sexual abuse towards a nonverbal child. Mom's babysitter, 20-year-old maternal aunt, was the only suspected of abuse for many reasons. Asanya then enrolled Sadia in overnight daycare without my knowledge, leaving child with complete stranger for months in the middle of a sexual abuse litigation without notifying dad of the changes. Plaintiff figured out months later that the child was spending overnights at a new daycare. Around the same time frame, learned mom had been collecting SSI for Sadia Thurston for 3 years without informing dad. On the 29th day of July, Honorable Judge Hughes denied Asana's petition to lift restrictions placed on the maternal aunt. On August 23, during a text conversation, Asanya proclaims God considers judges unjust. This came after a back and forth argument about Asanya putting Sadia into another daycare without my knowledge, and refuses to communicate and co-parent the logistics surrounding the last-minute changes that she made without my awareness. I expressed that these changes were not reasonable and unfair. She stated for me to make it work if you really love your daughter, and if not, well, take me to court. It's become a part of my life, and I'm starting to like it. Additionally, Asanya gets mad about anything. She denies communication between me and Sadia. In conclusion, all of my statements violate line 5, 6, and 20 of the attached order. Every statement made can be proven from text messages. In 2019, I asked the courts for text-only communication in order to protect myself from false PFA allegations. I can provide all text since 2019 with dates and times to prove these statements are true.